If you need a good pocket knife, but all you've got is $25, is it even possible to find something that's any good? Or are you better off not buying anything at all? Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here.
With Seth V.
Here, coming at you from the Knife Center. And yes, it is possible to find a good pocket knife under $25. The pickings are certainly a lot slimmer than if you spend even $5 more than that top end of the budget, but we took this as a challenge to show you some cool, inexpensive stuff.
Yeah, we found some good picks, I think.
So we got our top 10 here, and as with the $50 video we did last week, these are friendly rankings. Don't read too much into them, but Seth's gonna start us off with number 10.
Yeah, what we have here is the Camp Plus folder from Ontario Knife. This comes in at a cool $14 and is equipped with 420 stainless steel, injection molded handles, a back lock, wire pocket clip, and no thumb studs or flippers to speak of, which means that this is pretty much exclusively a two-hand operable folder. Now, I would argue that this is about the most knife per dollar in the market, maybe.
Definitely on the table.
Definitely on the table. At that price, what you're getting here is pretty phenomenal. It feels, I mean, yes, it's just $14, so the blade steel material is, just $420, but it's a real, actual stainless steel, an actual knife steel.
An actual named steel,
yeah.
A lot of inexpensive knives, sometimes won't even, it'll just say stainless steel, and you don't quite know what you're getting. At least you know what you're getting here.
Yeah, and it comes from a reputable brand that knows what it takes to actually turn those materials into a good knife. This is a good knife. Budget aside, it's got a great hollow grind, nicely executed. The handle ergonomics, I think, are gonna work for a lot of people. It's slim, it's well balanced, it feels very sturdy. This is a knife that I would not hesitate to beat up.
Yeah.
And at $14,
And at $14, it's
an
not,
invitation.
and it's not even a mini knife at $14.
True, yeah.
It's not a large knife, but that's a full-size knife there.
Yeah, definitely a great pick. If you don't mind, let me try here, see if I can get it open with one.
You can kind of thumb
You
it
could
open.
do it.
Yeah, sure.
It's sort of slow and deliberate, but I think this is an option for people on an ultra budget or looking for something to just kind of toss somewhere and forget about till you need it.
Yeah, phenomenal choice for sure. Coming in number 9, we have another inexpensive classic.
Oh, yeah, a classic with a capital C.
With a capital C, the Opinel knives. This is the number 8, which is the knife in their lineup that gets shown the most because it is it's the full-size basic Opinel experience. I mean, blade length, we're talking very similar to that Ontario we just looked at. I would say that the Ontario will probably stand up to harsher environments and harsher conditions better than the Opinel. I mean, this is a very simply constructed knife. You've got beechwood handles. I think they are still beechwood. A locking ring, so this knife does actually lock. Carbon steel, which is roughly $10.95, or 12C27 stainless options, both at that price.
Yeah, both good options.
Both good options. There's higher or lower. So it's, like I said, it's very simply constructed, but they're insanely comfortable. Like, at any price, this is one of the most comfortable to hold folding knives.
It really is.
And the slicing experience with these whisper thin convex ground blades almost all the way down to zero. There's just a micro bevel at the edge.
Yeah.
The slicing experience that an Opinel can provide is literally the best at any price range. You could have a $2,000 folder on here that doesn't slice as cleanly or efficiently as this knife does.
Crazy to say it, but it is true.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is not a hard use knife. This is not something that you're going to be able to use and abuse and get wet and put away without cleaning it or drying it off or anything like that and expect it to work the next time.
Yeah.
But you take care of this tool and the sublime nature of the cutting experience never fails to amaze. That's my number 9 pick here for today, hands down.
Yeah, Opinel deserves a spot on the table, for sure. It's a classic. The next spot, as we were kind of ranking these, we had a hard time figuring out which one was going to come first or second in the ranking.
So we're going to present 7 and 8 together, and we're not going to tell you which one's 7 and which one's 8. You get to decide.
Yeah, we were going back and forth, so ask us on another minute, it might be different. But this right here is the BRK Chirp.
Designed by Essie, also known as the Essie Chirp. But BRK is technically the brand. Alongside the Schrade Heritage Series Bruin. Both of these knives have plus or minus a 2 3/4 inch D2 steel blade. $20 for the Chirp, $22 for the Schrade Old Timer here. So yeah, similar forms, I would say, but they go about it in a completely different way. Tell us about the Chirp a little bit more first.
The Chirp is kind of it's a real hybrid design. So it's got a bunch of modern elements. For example, it's got ball bearings in the pivot, peel ply G10 handles, not ambidextrous, but a pocket clip.
Two position, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I suppose that could be ambidextrous, perhaps, depending on how you like to carry your knives. But in any case, those are modern elements. But the way that you use this knife and the way that it cuts is very much in line with traditional, true pocket knives. For deployment, it's got a nail nick. I'm not gonna be able to get this open with one hand. It's definitely a two-hand open knife. Even though with the ball bearings, it's like uncanny smooth.
So smooth, yeah.
Yeah. It's a pleasure to use, but not a very, fidget-friendly item. And then a really nicely executed full flat grind, beautiful drop point, almost spear point type shape. Just a great knife to live with as your pocket utility knife.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the edge retention for $20 there is outstanding.
Yeah, D2 at this price point is a big deal.
It's not a stainless steel, of course, but it is more stain resistant than classic carbon steels. And the edge retention, as mentioned, is phenomenal, for sure.
The one thing that's really going to stand out on a Chirp, as you look at it, is the way the liner sort of protrudes here, which is also kind of a traditional feature.
That nod to the old school, the pre-Michael Walker liner locks.
Yeah, this is how liner locks used to be executed before.
When they were on slip joints, basically.
Yeah. In fact, if you look at like a case, what are those? The Rust Lock, I think? Those still use that type of liner that kind of extends out from the silhouette of the handle. Luckily, it doesn't really influence the ergonomics.
It doesn't, yeah. It surprisingly stays out of the way.
Yeah. And it makes it very easy to unlock. So it's a funky design. It's really, really useful. I think it's fun to carry and use. We used this on like a sharpening challenge.
We did, which was a very fun video to do. It was a great platform for that because of the steel is a bit more resistance to abrasion, so it made it a challenge at a great price for us to take a few out of stock and play with.
Yeah. Definitely worth picking up the price for sure.
So if you want that kind of form factor as the Chirp, but you don't want the modern, you want the slightly more old school feel, the Heritage Series Old Timer Bruin from Schrade would be the way to go. You have a lock back here instead of the liner lock, so that feels a bit more, a bit further back on the evolutionary chain of modern pocket knives for sure. Stabilized wood handles here, so that's gonna resist warping or cracking a little bit compared to classic unstabilized wood. But the classic bolster, the shield, you still have D2 steel. You have a full height hollow grind on this one, and it just feels really good as well. You're not gonna get the pocket clip. You're not gonna get the adjustability of the torque style construction that the Chirp gives you. But most of what you said about the Chirp, you could just overlay right on to this knife right here. It's kind of two sides of the same coin in a way.
Yeah.
These two
different
knives.
aesthetics, but they sort of do the same thing.
Right, which is why we put them together and why we couldn't decide.
Yeah, which one's better?
Which one to put on top there. So, number 6 is for the folks that want an American-made option on this list. Surprisingly, there is an American-made option that we think is quite worthwhile in the under $25 price range, and that is the Buck Bantam. The medium size, there's small, medium, large. One version, the plain black version of the medium size, comes in under $25. This is at a $24 price point right now. You can get them with camo handles. Those get a little more expensive. You can get the smaller versions for under $25 as well. But the medium is like the Ontario at the beginning, this is a full-size knife. Not a large knife, not a small knife, but it is full size. We got a 3 1/8 inch blade, 420 stainless steel here. I believe it is the 420 HC, but it's it doesn't have the Boss heat treat, so doesn't quite get the same amount of performance as some of the other 420 HC knives in Buck's lineup get, but it's still super solid.
Yeah, still a real blade steel.
Absolutely. Hollow ground with a swedge. The stone-washed finish there is going to stand up to use quite nicely because when you scratch the blade from using it, it kind of blends in a little bit. It's one of the reasons it's one of my favorite blade finishes. Tip down pocket clip, so that's definitely not modern. Most
dates it a little bit.
Yeah, like most modern knife EDC fanatics tend to gravitate towards tip up pocket clips. This one carries the blade tip down. But forget about which direction the pocket clip is facing. The tool underneath of it is super solid. It's got a pretty stable lockback, mid-mounted, so it's a little easier to get to and unlock. You've got the thumb studs for one-handed opening, which many classic Buck knives don't have. And so we know the bones of this are good, but the best part about it is the way it uses it. The design here, both with the handle and the blade, kind of let it work for whatever you want to do with it. You know, everyday carry, certainly. Camping, hunting, yes. If you like your pocket knife to have a little bit of a tactical pretension to it, yes, this is even a little bit tactical. You've got finger guard right there.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit with what you want to do with the Bantam. The price is great for a USA-made folder that's actually worth it.
You're here. Now, number 5 is a big surprise because this is a brand that most people probably haven't ever heard of, and yet it might be the hardest working knife on the table here. The brand is Ultra X, and this knife is the Omen. It comes in with Aus-8 steel at $22.95, and David has the Rye.
Just as another option, their whole lineup has a lot of bangers. The Rye here, D2 steel for the same price, or 440C for about $18.
Yeah, that's crazy. Look at how thick these handles are. They both use liner locks. They both use G10 scales, kind of sculpted or milled to give it a little bit of extra dimension and texture.
But definitely on the chunky side.
Yeah, the weight is there, the mass is there. It's a hand-filling knife. It's very confidence-inspiring. It's just a lot of knife for the money. Like literally a lot of knife.
And it feels so well put together too. Like,
yeah, look at that action.
We mentioned hard working, like it feels amazingly solid in the hand. It might not be as refined feeling as some of the other knives, even in this price range, but when you've got like the strong skeleton, the strong bones that these have, it kind of doesn't matter. Like it's trying to do a different thing, and that is to be like the most rugged it can be for the money. Yeah,
and I like all the little extra details they've added too. You know, the X on the pivot, these interesting, it's not exactly a fuller, but just like these sort of ball milled slots on the blade to give it some visual interest.
The Rye even has a crowned spine on it at that price, which is very cool, very comfortable.
There's a lot going on from Ultra X. Check them out if you're interested in a bargain, because like this is just got cool beater written all over it. Pretty much everything they make.
Absolutely. All right, number 4. Last week when we did this, the under $50 version of this video, a lot of folks were surprised that Cold Steel wasn't on the list somewhere. There were a few models that could have made it onto that one for sure, but in truth, I was saving the knife for this video, the Mini Tough Light.
Ta-da!
The black-handled version of this is $24.95 still. The red's actually like a dollar or two more, so I apologize for holding the red one. The reason I saved this over like the full-size Tough Light, which is a few dollars more, this is a phenomenal utility knife, a box cutter replacement that is a true knife. And I don't think you really give up an appreciable amount to go with the mini version over the full-size version. You get to save a few bucks and you kind of get the same, more or less the same feel of performance behind it. You got a very acute blade, a very thin hollow grind, very pointy tip, 4116 stainless. Again, basic stuff, but that's okay at this price range. Injection molded handles with a nice sophisticated shape. Fills the hand quite nicely for such a small knife. I mean, I have slightly larger than average hands. I can still get all 4 fingers onto that blade. But this right here, the triad lock, which looks like a lockback, but is only that is only a skin deep comparison, really. Internally, with the stop pin and the geometries on the inside, it lasts longer and locks up stronger than is even like physically possible for a standard lockback to do. And it's awesome that they didn't just cheap out and do a lockback on this inexpensive knife. It is the full fat triad lock, which is astonishingly nice.
Yeah, the mini Tough Light. Price aside, I think I might actually prefer the mini, just because it really feels like you're not giving up much, if at all, any grip or kind of even blade length. It's maybe a ½ inch shorter at most. So, save the bucks, get the mini. That's what I do anyway. It's a great knife for sure.
It is indeed. Highly recommended.
Okay, we're getting down to the top 3.
Yep, we're on number 3 now.
Right here, this is the Kershaw Fraction. And this one is an interesting, I guess call it a case study, because this would not have made the under 25 list, I don't know, a few months ago or so. But this design has now been discontinued by Kershaw, which means that we can put it on a special price. So it's a new, lower price. It's not a limited time offer. This is just the price they're gonna be at till they're gone. These come in at $24.95.
Or there's a black stonewash blade version that's only $18 right now.
Ooh, that's a good deal for a knife that was originally like in the mid 30s at least. And it's almost like cheating, when a knife gets discontinued and goes on sale, it kicks down all these awesome knives into a lower price tier, and you can get things that like the Fraction has at a fraction of the cost.
Indeed.
This has a real knife designer behind it. Not to say that the folks who designed these knives aren't real, but
like a known custom designer.
Yeah. Jens Anso, his name's on the blade. He designed this knife. And then like the attention to detail in the way it was manufactured and the way it looks, also I think is kind of maybe a step up too. The way that there's this carbon fiber onlay that's been milled through to expose the G10 underneath. It's got ball bearings in the pivot, a fantastically crisp and satisfying action, and ambidextrous pocket clip, and just the Kershaw name brand. That's
counts for
worth something. And they've got the warranty service behind this. Like, it's a great deal on a closeout price.
Especially that $18 version.
Yeah. And it was a pretty sweet knife to begin with.
It was.
Yeah.
And I think the reason we ranked this higher than these Ultra X's, for example, is one, there's a little bit more refinement to it. You're definitely going to get more knife for your money with the Ultra X, but this is going to work for more people, I think.
Yeah.
This is more of like the platonic ideal of like the modern EDC flipper, folks who just need a basic pocket knife. This is more in line with what is going to be carried more often than something like the Ultra X. So that would be why we ranked it higher, despite it having HCR steel versus the name brand steel, so to speak, of the Ultra X. It's just a little more knifey of a knife, if that makes sense.
It does. And with Jens Anso behind it, that tracks. He knows how to design knives. It's his whole career. So, get one to check it out and see what kind of flavor he brings to the table.
Yep. All right, before we get to number 2 and number 1, we have a couple honorable mentions. Keen viewers will also notice that both in the sub $100 and sub $50 video we did, we left out slip joints and Swiss Army knives entirely. And that was primarily for the purpose of making it a little easier to whittle the list down. But in this price range... That was
for us, not for you.
Yeah. In this price range, we had a hard time whittling it down here too, so we got around that by putting the slip joints and Swiss Army knives in the honorable mentions this time.
This right here is the Real Steel RB1 Barlow. Comes in a clip point and a spear point here.
Classic Barlow shapes.
Classic Barlow shapes. Even got a faux bolster milled into the, is this Ultim?
It is translucent plastic.
Okay, so...
1950, you get translucent plastic and 12C27 blade steel. That's okay.
It kind of looks like that gray Ultim at least.
It does.
You're getting the look. Fantastic value. These would have been on the table, except that we decided to kick off all the slip joints to make things simple. It's got everything you want in a classic slip joint.
Plus a pocket clip.
Plus a deep carry reversible pocket clip to make it even better for EDC. But the back spring's really nice. It's got a 2/3 stop. Nice self-close. It's reassuring. It's a knife you feel like you can trust when you use it. Nice grinds on this, good blade steel.
Full height hollow. Yeah, it's nice. You've even got, back to the pocket clip for just a second, SRM is the company that makes these for real steel, and you even get their little pinch out pocket clip. So you can change the side it's on with no tools, and that's just such a cool feature.
So sweet. I like the translucent plastic too. You can kind of see the little spot they have where the pocket clip nests into.
A little bit.
Pretty cool. Kind of a demonstrator knife. See the whole thing in motion. So sweet.
Now, I think these knives make great gifts, as does the Victorinox Classic SD. It's the last Swiss Army knife that can be had for under 25 bucks. It's a $24 knife now. It is probably the Swiss Army knife that is in more people's possession than any other model out there because it's on so many keychains. It does make such a great gift, and it's just enough for the commitment required to carry it. You got the blade, you got the small flathead screwdriver with nail file, you got excellent scissors. They're way better than the size would suggest, and toothpick and tweezers on these plastic handled versions that are the only ones under 25 bucks anymore. It's just hard to go wrong with this, provided you realize it's not a real knife, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, it's not a real knife, but it is a real tool.
Absolutely.
I literally just used a pair of those tiny scissors to trim my mustache.
Yeah.
Like minutes before we started rolling.
Believe me, it needed it. Well, on to number 2 and number 1. These are the knives, as we were ranking them, we've each got our pick for the knife on the table that we personally would pick to carry. So for me at number 2, that is the Schrade Divergent. Such a cool little knife. It's about $24. The blade is just over 3 inches long. You've got AUS 8 steel, G10 handles, really nicely tuned crossbar lock. Folks know I love a crossbar lock. If you're a regular to this channel, it's ambidextrous in use. You've got finger safe closing action. Your fingers never get in the way of the sharpened edge of the blade as you're closing that. The grind is pretty decent. It's a saber height hollow grind in this case. Could be slicier if I was gonna have like all my preferences ticked off, but I'd be very happy with this. In fact, I have carried this knife a bit. Like this is the one that I have carried.
Nice.
It feels good. It's a usable size. It feels full size without feeling too bulky. It's still nice and compact in the pocket. You got a bit of a finger guard. My only complaint or critique on this knife is the pocket clip is a little tight for my pants in particular. But if that's a problem, it's a standard 3-hole pocket clip here. There's so many aftermarket things you could swap onto this if you wish. This is part of Schrade's Delta class folders of modern folders. There's actually some models that are less expensive than this that have AUS 10 steel as well, which is bump up in edge retention from the AUS 8. But design-wise and construction-wise, this just feels a little bit nicer. Like I would be more happy holding and interacting with this knife despite the quote-unquote downgrade in steel versus those other models. I think it's a great and easily recommendable design for sure.
Yeah, materials alone don't make a knife good. It's it's a part of the equation for sure, but like the design of this is so strong. I agree. It's a fantastic EDC knife, like full stop.
Yeah.
No reservations on it. At the money, or at the price for the money, it's a crazy good value.
Yeah.
And especially if you're just getting into knives and the idea of spending more than $100 on a pocket knife is insane to you, you'll get a little taste of what's to come with something like that.
For sure, for sure. And for number 1, Seth, you have?
For number 1, this is a knife I would pick and carry off the table here. This is the SRM 9201. This version with the G10 scales is going to be over $25, $29.95 in fact, but the versions we don't have in stock at the moment with injection molded handles are, how much are they? They're $19.95. Yes.
That comes with an 8CR series blade, so roughly analogous to the AUS 8 right here that was on the Schrade.
Yeah, standing in here for the injection molded versions, the design is identical, so I can tell you that the comfort, the handle comfort is maybe not exceptional, but well above average. I've got plenty of space for all different types of grips. It accommodates, any kind of use you'd need to do with a pocket knife like this. The size is great. It's just so capable. And then beyond just that, what really puts it over the top for me are the way that SRM has executed every one of the details at such a high level.
Oh, the fit and finish is fantastic on these knives.
Yeah, everything comes together so well. The crossbar lock is smooth and easy to use, rock solid in the locked position. And then little like knife guy things too. The way the plunge grind is executed to give you just a perfectly consistent edge from heel to tip. The way the edges of the opening hole, I don't think they've actually been chamfered, but they've been tumbled to kind of help your fingers use them.
Crispy, yeah, it's not gonna tear you up.
The back spacer that also houses the lanyard loop, it's just doing a lot for the money. Crazy good knife. I can see why we're sold out of the injection molded versions, because it really is that good.
And this allows us to talk about why the materials don't always make the better knife. This model right here, the 9211, is the same price as the 9201 with the same steel, HCR, but G10 instead of the injection molded handles of the 9201. But the 9201, to both of us, feels more comfortable in the hand. This one, you have to kind of stretch your fingers a little bit more to work the crossbar lock. The 9201 just feels better in hand to us. And ultimately, that's going to be more satisfying than the bragging rights of having G10 over injection molded material for the handles. This is still a very good knife. We would just pick the 9201.
Yeah, and arguably a better value on paper, perhaps, with the G10 handles for the price. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, David, but I think that's a big part of my job, is to handle everything, handle as much as I can, and then let the people know, like, the experience of handling it, which ones are going to stand out. Because I've often been surprised after handling something like, oh, this isn't what I thought. This is not as good as I thought. Or this is way better than I thought. I'm so glad I got a chance to handle this, because this knife I may have dismissed ends up being so amazing.
Yeah.
Especially at the price point. I think diving in, getting hands on this stuff, these are all knives I am happy to recommend to people. They are good. They are excellent value. And I think if you pick up any of them, you will be pleased for how little you spent.
I agree.
Yeah.
So if you're new to this channel and all you do have is $25, and that's why you found us, you're looking for what is good out there at the price range, I want to kind of reiterate Seth's earlier point just a little bit. The on-paper specs that anyone can see when you go to the website, which is on screen but not on paper, what you see on screen or on paper never tells the full story. And that is what Seth and I both try to bring to the table when we present these videos, because we get to hold everything. We get to feel it. We get to tell you what it's like to hold the knife, how the experience of opening it and operating it is. And we can't cut with all our inventory, but we've cut with plenty of knives, so we kind of know what works, and we can see what's going on with knives. So if you want more than just the on-paper story, we try to give you a bit of that full story on the channel here.
And I think it's especially important at this price range, where it can feel like a bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
People know that these knives don't have a lot of budget to make things as great as they possibly could be. They necessarily need to make some compromises to get down to that price, but making the smart compromises can come up with a fantastic product.
Absolutely.
And you love to see it. I find this type of knife very interesting, because it leads you to some unexpected places, Little funky things like this just are a pleasure to use, and I don't know, might not be something you'd shop for on paper.
That's all we've got for today, folks. If you want to get your hands on any of these, check out the links in the description. Those will take you to KnifeCenter.com. And if you've got other favorite knives under the $25 mark, share them down below as well. In the meantime, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program if you're going to make one of these orders, because you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next knife. I'm David C. Anderson.
I'm Seth V.
And we're signing off. See you next time.